Welcome, everybody. We have a cozy group today. Welcome on this pleasant spring morning. So glad to see you all. Like I said, our group is cozy and mostly familiar. I think we have a guest or two guests. There we go. A guest in the room. Fantastic. But the good news regarding our event today is that the audience is much larger than what we see in this very room because it is being recorded thanks to our wonderful multimedia people. Yes. The recording of this will be archived on the library website. It'll be searchable for those who will be doing research on similar issues that you have done research on in the future. And it will also be made available through the library's YouTube site. So it's amazing. Your audience is much larger than it seems today. So that's a good thing. I know I'm much more excited about that than perhaps you are, but that really is the point of all this, right? To be able to reach beyond the confines of our class to inspire others with your ideas. So just a couple of quick comments for our audience here and beyond. This is COM 102 that we're here with today. All of the students from my COM 102 section. COM 102, as most of you know, is a research writing course. And this semester, students researched pressing social issues in our communities. The idea with this course and this approach that we took to this course and this research was to not only engage all of you in traditional library-like research, but also to get you out of the library and beyond the classroom and into our communities, into the field, so to speak, to engage in field research. And to do that, we used an approach called critical service learning, which combines meaningful service with our communities, the development of our own civic skills, and an enhanced academic experience. The whole goal of all of this was to help affect positive change around these issues that we've come to care about. You all worked, and the students here worked with over 23 not-for-profit community organizations that deal with issues ranging anywhere from food insecurity and homelessness to animal rights, early childhood education, all the way to ecological restoration and everything in between. So you all were very busy this semester. The goal in all of this, of course, again, in all of this research and writing has been to affect positive change in our communities. And today, you are, I'm talking to all of my audience now, you are a part of that change. Okay, and the people who are watching this video in the future will be a part of that change as well. So please listen carefully today to today's speakers listen with an open heart and an open mind as they weave together a story of self, our story of us, and most significantly, the story of now. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dana.
Hi, I'm Dana, and my topic is immigration. We all originate from somewhere. I personally am from Palestine. I was born there and lived there for about 7 years. Living in Palestine was a challenge. With the Israeli and Palestinian conflict going on, going to school and trying to live out a normal childhood was hard, until I came to America. When I first came here, I was 5 years old, so I vividly remember how I truly felt. But ever since then, we went back and forth until I turned 7. At that age, I clearly remember how much America was a better home for me. It gave me the opportunity to go to school and to get a really good education and to live out a safe life. In America today, the number of legal and illegal immigrants has skyrocketed, and still there are many more people immigrating here each year. As people, we have somewhat tried to adjust to the differences around us, but some of us refuse to educate ourselves on the cultures and religions within our community. Immigration has been an issue for America for many years, and today immigration reform is a topic heavily debated. The main issue is security. Who do we let into our country? With the terrorist attacks and gang-related crimes, we fear allowing others into our country. And because of this, we discriminate against those who are just simply trying to live out a safe life. This is where ignorance and stereotyping comes into play. We base our judgments on people's past experience with one individual or a group. As people and as a community, we need to put in full effort in educating ourselves on the different people that live within our community. We will forever be divided if we refuse to put down the walls that we build around ourselves. A country united is much better and stronger than a country divided.
Hi, my name is Owen Coyle, and my topic was the importance of a good education. Everyone in here has to deal with getting a well education because it brings you different places in the world and brings you to places that you'll never be. This topic really hasn't impacted me directly because I've been able to go to a lot of pretty good schools with good education. Besides that, my cousins actually have gone to public schools all of their lives, and I remember vividly them coming over and bringing their books, and their books were like way older than mine. I didn't understand that, and they had like poor supplies, and they would always talk about funding, and their schools wouldn't be funded the right way, at least. And I just always thought that was unfair, and it never really hit me until this class, really. And they would also tell us about the crime that would be happening because of the lack of funding, because kids wouldn't have after-school activities to do, and like there would just be crime-ridden areas after school. The issue I never really thought of the issue as a problem because it didn't hit me directly, just some of my family members. Until my service learning trip, I went to the Carol Robertson Center for Learning, which is a center for education for smaller kids, little kids. They explained to us the lack of funding, and the facilities weren't up to par, really. I thought they could be a lot better, and that really hit me hard because education at a young age is very important because that's when everyone starts to learn everything, and they prepare them for first grade and stuff like that. And the lady that we met when we first went really hit me because she explained that the only funding that they get is government funding, and the state doesn't do a thing. So I really thought that was unfair, and that the kids should have the education that I got, or the opportunities that I had that everyone should deserve. And this really hit me and got me thinking about how we can make a change for everyone to have the same opportunities in education. Every year, 1.2 million students drop out of high school. That's about 7,000 a day in the United States. Crime in the areas with low quality education is very common, especially in Chicago. The crime has really gone up with students who don't have the best education because they go to school, they don't really care, they don't have that nice of the school, and then the crime just goes way up. And across the country, 68% of prison inmates don't have a high school diploma. And this really hit me hard because if the students are dropping out, then their chances of going to prison go way up. This is another thing why I think everyone should have a good opportunity at least, and that's not happening in today's world. Together we can raise awareness to city or town officials. Recently, Chicago Public Schools has been in the news. Chance the Rapper has donated $1 million, as well as Chicago Bulls. I think this helps a lot, but the money has to be funded in like a better way. Sometimes they don't fund it in the best way. We can also protest for funding. And obviously we all can't donate a ton of money, but we can just raise awareness to the topic at hand, like somewhat like Chance the Rapper, but not, obviously can't donate that much. But together we can make a change if we really want to.
My name's Christine Jennison, and my topic was bullying. I want everybody right now to take a second and think about a time when bullying was present in your life, whether you were the bully, the victim, or the bystander. Once you got that thought, think about how each person in the situation might have felt. When I was younger, I was a victim of bullying. I was one of those kids that was always nice to everyone and thought that the world was so great. This made things hard when it came to bullies. I was, however, warned about this. I was told that the group of people that I was hanging with weren't the best people to hang with. This made things worse, too, but with my stubbornness, I ignored it. I thought that I knew better. I was bullied by my so-called friends. They'd be all buddy-buddy with me and then turn around and stab me in the back. They'd spread countless rumors about me, and in my case, these words hurt. I didn't have no tough skin. I also felt like I had to fit in and be somebody I wasn't. Everyone can relate to bullying just like everyone can relate to wanting to fit in. What's upsetting to hear, though, is how bullying can be present at such a young age. At the Marine Valley Daycare, and I'm sure many other daycares, bullying potential actions were present. Some might think of this as bullying at this age as throwing blocks or biting each other. Bullying is beyond this, though. A student wants to feel included, and when a student doesn't feel included, they shut down. A student wants to feel appreciated by other students, and when a student doesn't feel appreciated, they shut down as well. They shut down regards to crying that someone is being mean to them or having that sense of loneliness that nobody likes to feel. When these students had these potential bullying actions, the victims would carry themselves differently. You could tell. There may never be a solution to bullying, but there's definitely ways to help. Ultimately, these kids are our future. How we influence them will influence our world after we all go. That's why we as a group need to get this issue under control. The more we do, the less our kids have to feel like they don't belong or feel like they're overpowered by words. We need to raise awareness. People know bullying is an issue, but do people really know how strong of an impact it really has on people? Such intense words and actions can truly traumatize a kid. This can cause them to take their own life. At some point in your life, there is a good chance you will know somebody that takes their own life. According to the American Psychological Association, suicide is the third leading cause of death among the ages 15 to 24. In order to change this, we need to develop better programs in our school. We need to make bullies aware of the consequences of bullying, and we need to get each school district or each school to develop laws that are against bullying that are most suitable for the school. We also need to make it so that students feel safe when they are reporting these issues. We also need to make sure students have a trusted adult in the building at all times. We need to help victims stand up to bullying. With these little things, a great difference can be made. But we can't do it alone. We need to start by setting good examples, and as we're setting examples, we need to think to ourselves, if this was the last thing I ever said or did to someone, how would I feel? Because truth be told, if you bully someone, it could be the last thing you or anyone else will ever say to that person.
My name is Grace Kilcommons, and I had animal rights. First of all, my mom was a dog trainer, so most of my life I've been surrounded with dogs. A lot of times the dogs that come to us are very aggressive and are very mean, so it's very hard to interact with them on a basic level. One of the dogs we specifically had was named Levi. He was a German Shepherd, and he had severe hip dysplasia, which is when their hips fall out from underneath them and they cannot walk correctly. Due to this medical injury, he had no way of providing his own support to his body, and he had trouble having other people support him, having other people help him too. With this, his parents were mass-produced, so the puppies that they had were produced at a very severe rate. With this cause, that produces hip dysplasia and many other medical injuries that occur to these dogs. Now, most people don't understand what puppy mills exactly are, but this is what Levi did come from. He was mass-produced, as his parents were, and he was then given the medical injuries and then eventually the loss of life that he had to live with, and which showed the aggression that he eventually displayed as well. It is our responsibility to get rid of these puppy mills. They are the cause of puppies and other dogs that we adopt into our families that have severe medical issues and have a bunch of different, difficulties that they have living with other people. Puppy mills are a place where they mass produce female dogs, and they continue to reproduce until that female dog is dead or until they have no quality of life and they get rid of them. Everything with these mills is for profit and nothing else. Therefore, the puppies have no quality of life. They live in crates stacked on top of each other in their own feces and each other's. This causes a very difficult issue with medical care. So now it is our responsibility to make sure that when we buy puppies in pet stores or online, we don't know where these dogs are coming from. We cannot guarantee where their breeders are from. So it is dogs like Levi who end up in someone's home who cannot understand how to be in a social situation because they have lived in crates on top of crates their entire lives. This way, if we stop funding these online stores that we do not know where these dogs are coming from, we'll be able to lessen the profit that these puppy mills are producing, and we won't be buying the dogs that are very mentally and physically screwed up, which sounds very mean, but if you want to prevent this happening continuously down the line, shutting down these mills and then adopting the dogs out from the shutdown of them will be the best way to go, rather than saving them from buying them from the mills, because then you're just continuing another dog's life living in the mill. So it is our responsibility to get these mills shut down. The American Welfare Society has a petition that is about shutting down these mills for good and making them non-existent. So I ask you to go out and sign this petition, because who wants their dog to live with the mental and physical stress of a body that does not work well for them? Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ashley McDonald, and I'll be talking about the housing crisis today. When I was 8 years old, my biggest problem was that I didn't have a pool in my backyard. All of my friends had them, and I felt like I was the only one without. My house, in comparison to my friends, plummeted. I never took a quick look around, though. I only focused on what was immediately and directly affecting me. Granted, I was only 8, but my mindset stayed quite the same for a while. I didn't notice that just 3 miles east of my house in Morgan Park, many of the houses had wooden boards covering holes in the wall that were once sealed with windows. While driving through Robbins, I decided to ignore the sight of the flooded house and not worry about it because it wasn't my problem. I watched the news and definitely did not pay enough attention to these issues happening in other countries, because that especially didn't affect me. When I decided to briefly think about these situations, I didn't even let myself see the bigger picture. I didn't allow myself to imagine the repercussions that these families of these homes might be facing. Possibly they're without a home and living on the streets. There's a chance that they're spending each night in run-down motels just trying to make ends meet. Whatever their situations were, I didn't let them cross my mind. We all come across views like these, and it is up to us to decide what we're going to do to change these sites. There are people struggling with housing issues all around us, but it is up to us to open our eyes and lend our helping hands. Whether we see it in our own neighborhoods or we see it in the neighborhoods surrounding ours, or even if we see it on the news, the opportunity to help is given to us, but it is up to us to take matters into our own hands and help out. Habitat for Humanity is this opportunity. If you don't know, Habitat for Humanity is a non-for-profit organization that is intent on restoring homes and creating safe and affordable housing. They serve every single state in the U.S., and they serve 70 other countries as well. I'm encouraging you to take some time out of your day to benefit someone else. If you have a free day, volunteer for Habitat Chicago. They have multiple work sites in the area and could always use another motivated volunteer. If you plan on going on a road trip this summer, take one day to dedicate for doing good for someone else in another state. Otherwise, if you're really up for an adventure, give Habitat for Humanity a call yourself and seek an opportunity to volunteer in one of these 70 other countries. Together, we need to open our eyes to see the bigger picture. Why not use the time we have today to create someone's tomorrow just a little bit better? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Emanuel, and my topic was elder care. About 3 years ago, my grandfather got into a car accident, and when he went to the hospital, the doctor said he needed surgery on his knees. After the surgery, the doctor told him he needed 3 months to recover. And if he was to stand or walk, it would be extremely painful for him. So every day, I had to make him food, help him shower because he wasn't able to do it himself. I even had to sacrifice school some days because he couldn't afford the helpers. Well, he couldn't afford for the nurse to come to his house every day because they wanted around like $150 for every day. So I ended up doing that for him. And nowadays people they don't want to really do anything to help others because they're not getting anything out of it. But as most people these days, they think about old people. Well, they think that they like attitude and they hate life. But during my visit at the Holy Family Villa, when they seen me, they really felt like, they were a part of something bigger than themselves, And I believe that you guys should help, go and volunteer because, you're going to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation that you're not really familiar with, but, you might just, experience something that's going to help you, like, better your life someday. And I have a question for you guys. If one of your family members were at one of these centers, would you help? Because, people only like help their own, they're like selfish. And that's really all I had today. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Alberta. I grew up in a small town in Mexico, the town of the mummies. And I had a wonderful childhood. I would go out and come home till nightfall. My favorite memories are from when I was a child. I would play in the torrents of water that would come down the hills. But my favorite memory has to be one time when I played dodgeball with dry cow manure. I know it's disgusting, but at the time I thought it was hilarious. One day my mother told me that we were moving. She said I should be happy and I should be excited because I was getting on a plane. I didn't know what that meant. When I got on the plane, it was exciting. And I'm one of the few lucky that came to the U.S. without having to risk my life while doing so. My best friend is not one of the fortunate ones. Her grandmother, at the age of 60, crossed the border with 4 children. My friend of 8 years, her sister of 12, 2 of her cousins, one of 7 and 14 years of age. My friend recalls how they had to wait in a dilapidated house close to the border where they were scared and they had to wait for directions so they can go on to their next location. They spent a couple days this way. They went to one house, waited for directions, and start moving. This is how their entire trip went until they reached the U.S. There's many other people, thousands of people, that place their lives at risk every day to have a better life or try to have a better life. This will continue as long as there's war and hunger in other countries. Immigration is important to this country because it shapes our economy. It's what keeps our economy going. It's a cycle that keeps everybody going. In 2015, Crane's Business magazine named Little Village the second grossing. It named Little Village the second grossing income in the city. Little Village grossed $900 million that year. That's money that helps schools, roads, electric companies to keep their employees, and everybody that trails from that money or where that money trails. People don't understand that. When you come, or the more people that come, they make an income, they spend. They go, they shop, they spend money. It's a cycle that keeps everything going. It's a cycle that keeps everything moving. You might not realize it, but even technology was changed or had been touched by immigration. An immigrant man from Syria and a German woman came to the U.S. and gave life to Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs changed our technology. It changed the way we live. It changed the way we do everything. I'm asking everybody to think about immigration in a different light. You can start by joining the Moraine Valley ESL program. Interact with the students, find out their cultures, their foods, their hobbies. For those that feel they need a little more motivation or feel that they can do a little more, there's also the Erie House, the Erie Neighborhood House, or the Little Village location. You can teach a child how to read. You can teach them how to write, help them with their homework. You can make a change in their lives. Thank you for your time.
Hi, my name is Alex, and I'm going to be talking to you guys about homelessness. When I was 5 years old, I lived in a condo in Payless, just a couple blocks away from here, and it was set on fire by some people working on the roof. And I was just at my friend's house down the street from there, and it was January, so it was dark out at about 6 o'clock. And I remember walking outside and seeing the flames, huge flames, and firefighters yelling at other firefighters and policemen, and it was just crazy and chaotic. And when you're 5 years old, you're so small and helpless, you don't know what to do. So I just stood by my mom and waited for some type of direction, but I remember thinking, how would we have somewhere to live that night? It was so scary and crazy, and thankfully I had a good family and support system, so we moved to Naperville for 3 months until we were able to find a house and get back on our feet and start our life again. But it's not the same for so many people. Like, the number one cause of homelessness for women and children is domestic violence. Although that was not my situation, it's the situation of so many people. So many people are affected by that, and they end up with no homes because they're scared to turn to other family and admit that they were abused by their significant other, many times a husband, a man. They're scared to turn to anybody for help because they don't want him finding where they are, and it's a scary situation for so many people, but we can, as a society and as a community, stand up to that. I'm sure everybody here knows a mother and a child. You are one, and we can help them find a better life and start their life over again, just one step at a time. As little as just sharing something on Facebook. I mean, there's so many pages of how to help women and children that are in these types of situations. Share it on Facebook or Twitter, and it will cross so many people, and it may save lives of many women and children. There are also shelters that you can volunteer at that are specifically for domestic violence against women and children that end up homeless. So just the little amount of things that we can do as a community can help save so many people's lives.
My name is Brad, and my topic is animal cruelty. When you think of man's best friend, what do you imagine? Lassie running home to her owners? Maybe the ending scene of Marley and Me. I, for one, always think of Old Yeller. The iconic scenes of loyalty and faithfulness until the end always hit me hard, having a yellow lab as a child throughout my childhood. If you think of the dog as man's best friend, you could find it shocking that 3.9 million dogs still go through animal shelters every year in the United States. Yes, despite 44% of Americans owning a dog, 3.9 million still go through animal shelters as strays, victims of abuse and just neglect. I can tell you that the reality of animal abuse is very much real and expands further than any commercial on TV can tell you. Pets with missing paws, eyes, fur, teeth, and ears are all too common in the world of animal abuse. Places like the Animal Welfare League try to stem the tide against the threat of animal abuse, but they can only do so much. The volunteers bring hope every day that these brave souls try to stem the tide. They provide things like food, shelter, and water for abused animals who need it. And they set an example on how to deal with animal injustice in the world. Those who cannot volunteer can always donate to support the cause and support punishment for the offenders for puppy mills and dog fighting operations. Together we could put an end to animal cruelty, but that starts with you.
Hi, my name is Rebecca, and my topic was starving children. If you were a parent and your kids were hungry every night, wouldn't you do anything you could to get them food? Would you drop your dream job to go back to school when you have 2 kids at home and a mortgage to pay? Well, that's exactly what my mom did. When I was 5 years old, I had the most glamorous life I thought I could have. I had any toy that I wanted. We went on vacation every single year. I had the biggest, latest technology, and I lived on the biggest house on my block. My mom was a special aid teacher at the time, and my dad was a construction worker. My dad's job, he was doing very well in what he was doing and always had work, and we were always fine. What we did not plan for was the housing market to crash and people stop moving. So therefore, my dad was out of a job. It happened to me, and it happened to anyone. My mom decided that the mother she is, she was going to stop being a teacher and go back to school and become a radiologic technician. She worked very hard every single day, and it still wasn't even enough for our family. My dad was out of a job for a while, and we had to sell our house and move in with our grandparents to be able to afford to eat every day. My mom then decided a radiologic technician still wasn't enough for her, so she went back to school to become, I honestly don't even know what it's called, but she works in the neuro room at Christ Hospital now. She'd be at school all day long, obtain like a 3.7 GPA, and would always be home for family dinners. My mom was my hero to get us back on our feet, and you could be anyone's hero too. Luckily enough for our family, we did have our grandparents there for us to be able to stay with, but that does not happen for a lot of people. A lot of kids go hungry each night, and with that, they don't develop the right way, or they're falling behind in school, and this is becoming a serious issue. Although you can help. There are organizations like Feed My Starving Children, like what I did for service learning in this class, that allows you to go to the Feed My Starving Children place and make manna packs for kids. And they do serve kids in other countries, but that's just a small way you can help that. There's food pantries probably in every single one of your communities, and we even have one on campus here that you can help volunteer at and donate to. I know in my community we have a food pantry that people donate to almost every single day. And we also have a community garden. And the community garden is where people can go there. They can actually learn gardening skills and spend time with family and get the communities together. But then it also allows for people to come to the garden and pick out what they need just to feed their family that night. And I think the best part about the garden is that it's just open to anyone, and if someone was walking past, you wouldn't even be able to know if someone was working on the garden and watering it, or they were actually taking things from the garden. Even if that doesn't seem too much for you, the church by my local house does this every single Christmas, where they send a note around to the houses nearby, and they just ask to leave a can of food out front on your front porch. And then they have volunteers who come then and grab that can of food to donate to the pantry so people around the holidays can have a meal with their family. And thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Matthew, and I'm here to tell you that help is on the way. Food insecurity is plaguing our world today. Growing up as a young kid in hometown, food insecurity was kind of a big thing, especially in our elementary school there. I knew a couple kids there in elementary school who were struggling from the problem. I had a couple friends. I'm going to refer to them as Jeff and Joey. These kids were brothers. They were young brothers. They came from a family. They moved in recently. At that time, they moved in, and their family was a bit on the poor side, so they were struggling sometimes trying to get by on food and stuff. And you would notice every lunch period you would see them with like a bag of chips or maybe like an apple every day. They wouldn't have a lot, if that even. But lucky to us at that elementary school, we shared our food, and it helped brighten their day a little bit. But the problem is seeing a kid like that, seeing children like that, starving every day. It's kind of a heart-wrenching thing to see. Just to see them struggling, knowing that they're not doing well. But not only does food insecurity affect little children like them, it also affects people like our age, college students as well. A statistic was that nearly 25% of college students are affected by related hunger issues. Think of that. That's 1 in 4 of us. So say like over there, right over here, there's 4 of you guys. Professor, you would be one of the 25% maybe. That's a lot. And that's a scary fact to see. And that's why there's food pantries all across communities, and especially one here on Moraine Valley. The food pantry is a small and mighty one, but it's unknown. It's in the S building, though. But what it's doing is helping these students, even here on campus, get extra food and help that they need. But we need to look at the big picture here. Food insecurity is everywhere. Not only in our communities, it's in our world. But we have to turn the tide of the battle towards our favor. We have to defeat it. And the way we can is donate to your local food pantries, especially the one here on Moraine Valley in the S building. That's a very important one to help your peers out. But also donate to the ones in your communities, and even take 30 seconds in your classrooms and ask your teachers if you could talk about it. Get the word out about it, about food insecurity. Help raise the goods, the food. Just get the word out, make everyone aware of it, so that we can win the battle once for all. But to that, if we win the battle, we would not see any more children or even students or adults starve no longer. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Josh, and I came here to talk to you about an investment today. Now, I'm not talking about an investment in 401ks or a startup company. I'm not even talking about stocks. I'm talking about investing in food, particular food for our youth. See, now, when I was around 12, 13, I was in 6th grade, that was when the housing market really started to crash. And my family, we lost our house. I was forced to move from Lamont into my grandparents' house in Palos Park. Attending middle school, my family, we didn't have much money, and I was on their free lunch program or the discounted lunch program. I mean, I hated everything about where I lived, what I had, but then looking back at it now, I realized I was given a chance that most kids aren't really given chances for. Just as like a statistic, 1 in 6 kids in Cook County alone go to school every day hungry. Regular kids with hungry, 88% of them, they show inability to pay attention in school and concentrate, and that in turn will affect their grades. Personally, I see this mostly in impoverished areas where they don't have the money for food, or their schools simply can't afford to provide the money for the food. And that's where I'm here to talk to you guys today. a particular organization. It's called hungerinourschools.org. They raise money nationally for kids who can have money money for either to pay for their food or to get food at their school, because some schools just don't serve their lunches or their breakfasts at the right time. Sorry about that. And just looking at it, if schools like Palos South, who gave me the opportunity to eat lunch every day, I actually had very good grades in middle school and going into high school. Imagine what that could happen with our impoverished areas. In those impoverished areas, we have a bunch of gang violence, like was mentioned earlier, dropouts in high school, and just overall, it's a bad mentality. Just going to school, if you give those kids that breakfast, that 88% of kids that didn't have the breakfast, that don't show examples of paying attention, that could drop it. Not saying it'll go to zero, but that'll help with their grades and in turn also help just keep kids in school. This keeping the kids in school will hopefully turn them away from gang violence or from anything in the streets, and in my opinion would help clean up the streets. Just overall, I think that donating to schools like this to helping the kids eat food is just a very good thing, and I think you should do it. It's once again, hungerinourschools.org. Thank you.
Hi, how's everyone doing today? My name is Tony Vasquez, and I'm here to talk about cancer. Just a great dramatic change. Cancer has been around for a very long time. I did a little research, and I actually found the earliest recording document of cancer was around 25,000 BC. It was around when civilization was first starting up, and they also mentioned the methods of way they treated tumors. It was through the method of cauterization. If anyone doesn't know, it's hot metal touching skin. Treatments today are a lot better, but they still aren't that good. To be honest, there are a lot of negative side effects with treatments today. And today I'm just really trying to talk about to see if there's any way that I can try to convince one of you guys to try and donate, or even just get yourself checked to help fund research for cancer. The two main treatments that people usually go to are chemotherapy and radiation therapy. Does anyone even know what chemotherapy actually even is? I'm going to guess really no. Am I right? Well, chemotherapy is actually, to put this in layman's terms, it's a poison that is injected near the tumor or the area of cancer in hopes to try to kill it. And radiation therapy is where radiation is doused over the area of cancer to try to do the same thing to kill the cancer cells. But there are a lot of negative side effects, like I said before, such as nausea, vomiting, extreme pain, and infertility. It can also cause internal bleeding, bruising, and a lot more, but there's also one thing that is very keen and everyone has seen. It's the hair loss, and also they can also lose their fingernails too. They can be extremely sick. I'm sorry. Imagine how embarrassing that would be in order just to walk around either forced to wear a wig or walk around bald and understand that people are looking at you because you have cancer. There are other forms of cancer that cannot be treated. They're called malignant, and they are basically just a ticking clock of when you're going to die. I don't want to be that morbid, but it really is. My family has been touched by cancer quite a bit. I've had family members die. I've had one of my close best friends who lives on my block. His mom died when he was about 10 due to breast cancer. And I have something called an esophageal ulcer. If people don't understand that what a stomach ulcer is, it's the same thing but in the esophagus. And right now, it's a stage 4, which is the worst one you can get before it turns into cancer. And very soon, I'm actually going in to getting screened for cancer because my symptoms are getting worse, and it's a high-risk chance of me getting it. And right now, I just want to encourage everyone just to please try to fund or try to just talk to someone, at least with cancer. Just try to just find their story. Just try to get to know them a little bit, or even just try to even donate a couple bucks to cancer research, or even get yourself tested. That's all it really takes. Just go to your doctor and ask if you can get tested for certain types of cancers. It's a great way of learning what could happen, and it's also a great way to be prepared. So everyone have a great day, and thank you very much.
Hi. So my name is Ailish Vaughn, and when I was like 2 or 3, I refused to leave the house. Anytime I was brought outside, I would scream until I was not outside anymore because there were bugs outside, and I did not like bugs. So my mom could not deal with me, and so she would bring me outside, and her and my close neighbor would go out and they would find bugs, and they would bring them to me, and they'd go, "Oh my God, look at how cool this is. It's so pretty," or "It rolls up into a little ball." It was supposed to make me more excited about bugs and what they do than scared of them. It totally worked. On so many levels did it work. And so now, as an adult, I love being outside, and I love being outside. It's so much fun. I was even known for chasing boys around with bugs in school instead of being the one chased. But as I've gotten to this point, it is harder for me to actually make it outside. I've become somewhat of a hermit, and I feel like that's kind of a pattern some of us share, a lot. Nature is a thing that we cannot ignore, even if we're a hermit. I may live inside most of the time, but we still have to go outside. We still eat food that was made outside. There's always something that we have to do outside. And so the fact that our beautiful forests and woods and even our gardens are under attack by non-native species, and some of those non-native species are invasive. So they come in, they're brought in as plants that we're like, "Oh, wow, that's really pretty. I'm going to put it in my garden. I don't know what it is or where it came from, but it's cool." And then it spreads, and it spreads, and it spreads, and it spreads, and it takes over. And there isn't a lot we do about it on a daily basis because a lot of us aren't aware that that is actually going on, that it's such a serious issue. But it is. These invasive species will come in and we'll plant them, and then they'll make it into places they really shouldn't be, and they'll take over, and it ruins the ecosystem. It will take over smaller plants, and that's taking out the base of the food web. So you take out the base, the whole thing is just gone. It's gone. And so what I'm asking everyone to kind of go home and think about helping with is, some of us are going to think I'm crazy because I'm asking some of you to go out, and you can go out and join groups, and you can go out on, mostly it happens on Saturday mornings, and you can go out to the woods, and you can go out in the winter, and you can cut down trees, and you burn them. And it's a really neat experience. And then in the summer, you get to pull up things like buckthorn, and you pull them up, and then they're gone. And it's not so much of an issue anymore because you're helping. But there's another thing that people can help out with too. And it's just while you're at the store picking out new kinds of plants for your gardens and backyards and window boxes, you like ask the people who work there, like, hey, is this native to Illinois or are part of Illinois? And if it's not, or if they don't know, you might not want to buy it. Or, since it's already kind of late in the season for that, you know, you go out on a nice day into your garden and you go, okay, what doesn't belong here? And you can find a really good list of invasive species on invasive.org. And just you type in your county and it'll pop up and you can go through the list and find what's in your garden, and please take it out before it becomes a much bigger issue. Thank you.
Okay. So my father has chronic myeloid leukemia, but didn't everyone's father have cancer? Of course, I thought this when I was younger. My name's Lindsay, and I'm 18 years old. I grew up with a pretty common life. I hung out with friends, went to parties, I had fun. But when my friends were sick, I would instantly get sick too. And my immune system is weaker than normal. It shouldn't be as weak as it is. So whenever my friends were sick, my parents had to make sure that they were healthier again before I can even go near them or near their house. My immune system is like my father's, except my father has it worse than I do. And since he was sick, I tried to do everything that I could to help him. I would make little art collages for him. I would draw pictures. And I also fixed my little bike just to show him that I could help him. Only nothing was working. I felt like all my efforts were just to show. Just to say hey, I'm here, but nothing worked. My father was diagnosed 19 years ago. I'm 18. I was born 1 year later. The doctors didn't think that I would be able to go through. I wouldn't be able to be made. I wasn't even possible. But here I am. So it was hard knowing that I wasn't supposed to be born, that I'm not supposed to be here. I couldn't help my dad without helping myself. So my service learning was with the Cancer Support Center. And they don't just help cancer patients. They help people like me or like anyone else. They have really nice programs. They're also free. So they're really good for everyone. But what they need is they need volunteers. They need people to go out to hospitals and find people and just say they're here. They're here to help. They're open for everyone. They have counseling for everyone. They can do yoga, art classes, cooking classes. They basically have everything available. For cancer patients, they also have a wig service. So it does suck having to get a wig or just even walk out of the house with a bald head. But they help them fit into what they find comfortable. They have so many different wigs, and to help just find themselves again. So what I'm trying to say is it would be awesome just to have a couple more volunteers just to help show people that other people are there. Try to tell them that they're not alone in the battle that they're facing and that they never have to be alone. They'll always have someone with them. Thank you.
All right. Hi, I'm Alfredo, and I'm here to talk about bullying. No matter who we are or where we come from, we've all been bullied to a certain degree at a certain point in our lives. I admit that I myself have been verbally bullied before. In middle school, I was teased because I wasn't too good at playing sports in gym class. Luckily, I had the discipline and patience to let the teasing die down by simply ignoring the other students and their harassment. My friend Ryan, on the other hand, had more difficulty as he faced a similar problem as me. The verbal, excuse me, the verbal bullying had gotten bad enough to the point that he didn't want to dress and participate in gym class for several days. I couldn't watch and be the bystander to the situation, as I knew that if I simply stood around and did nothing, the bullying would get worse, as bystanders are just as bad as bullying because it allows the bullies to continue harassing other students. I let my friend Ryan know that he wasn't alone in this situation. I let him know that I too had been bullied by those same students. I told Ryan that although it may be a bit difficult, if he ignored all of the hateful comments, the bullies would eventually notice that Ryan wasn't being affected by the hateful comments that were said to him, which is exactly what happened. Kids today are being bullied in person at school and through social media on a daily basis without a doubt. And even though cyberbullying is steadily on the rise, it seems like many schools are not doing enough to prevent this from happening. Part of the reason is because of faculty members and parents from older generations that didn't grow up with the internet and don't fully understand what kids and teens of these newer generations go through. That the reputation of these kids and teens in person fully depends on their online status. So if kids are being made fun of on Facebook because of the way they look, this might lead them to a state of depression, and if the situation gets even worse, it might lead to suicide. In fact, suicide is the third leading cause of death among young people, resulting in 4,400 deaths per year, according to the CDC. So whether you are being bullied online, or so whether you are being bullied online because of an embarrassing photo in class, or because of the way one might speak or act, we are all affected by bullying in one way, or some way. That's why it is our job as a community to do everything in our power to put an end in bullying. To be realistic, we may not be able to fully put an end to bullying, but we can reduce bullying significantly by simply talking to our children at a young age and explaining to them the negative effects bullying can leave on kids and teens. One way in which we can prevent bullying or even thoughts of suicide is to get kids and teens involved in extracurricular activities that best suit them, as they will build confidence and great social skills for the future and not feel as an outcast, but rather instead feel as they are a part of something greater. Another way in which we can help reduce acts of bullying is to talk to the bullies themselves. We must let the bullies know that what they did is not acceptable, as it may leave permanent psychological damage to the victim, affecting them for years to come. By spreading bullying awareness at a young age, we can improve society as a whole, even if it takes one step at a time. Thank you.
Okay, so my name is Diana, and my topic was on food insecurity. I grew up with the average life. It wasn't too crazy, but at the age of 10, the market had crashed, and we ended up losing our home due to my mom losing her job. It was never easy to worry about that as a child. I mean, who would? Until we lost our apartment is when it really hit me. But we were lucky enough that her friend was nice enough to let us live in her basement for a while just to get back on our feet. My mom at the time worked for banks, so it was always hard for her to land a job that was permanent. My mom, she kept looking for a job every day for at least 3 weeks straight, from what I remember, but no one would hire her. We went days eating just microwavable soups or just leftovers that we had from her friend that night. Or even days where we didn't eat anything because we simply just didn't have the money to do so. Now I'm sure we all have had a time where we felt hungry, whether it was because we were so busy that we skipped a meal or we just didn't have the money to do so. But now I want you to imagine that feeling and think about having to deal with that every day or every second of every day. How you would be able to work or go to school or get anything you need to get done. Well, there's many of us just in our community that are suffering from food insecurity. According to the Greater Chicago Food Depository, there's 807,000 men, women, and children in just our community within itself that are going through food insecurity. It could possibly be even the person next to you in this room. But there is a way to change that and possibly never have someone feel that way again. I was able to volunteer at the Chicago Food Depository 2 days only, but it was 4 hours, and with just 1 day of volunteering there, we made 16,000 meals. It doesn't seem like much, but when you look at the bigger picture, it does. You can give back yourself, just as I did, simply going maybe just 1 day a week to volunteer at a food depository or maybe even a food pantry just in your community. But if that seems like too much work, maybe you're just as busy as I am, it's simple. You can do this at home, whether it's donating cans that you have in your closet that you probably don't even remember is there, or food that you simply don't want. Why just throw it away? Don't let it go to waste when you can give it to someone who is just waiting for that next meal to come. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Isaiah, and I'm here to talk about the homeless. So back in high school and middle school, I was bullied a lot. I'm not really sure why, but a lot of people like to pick on me. I was the guy that was pushed up and down stairs, made fun of, and all that kind of stuff. And for having that history, I can relate a lot to homeless people, because there are so many people out there who treat homeless people so harshly and so crudely that it's just wrong. Like, you have to think about what these people have been through and why they're in the situation that they are in right now. Some people think that these people are homeless because they're lazy, that they don't want to work, they don't want to get a job, or they just don't want to go to school. But some people don't realize that some homeless people have mental illnesses that prevent them from working, that they can't really work in that workplace yet, or they've served in the military, they have PTSD, or they have an injury that prevents them from working. I went on this service learning project with me, a couple other students, and my professor, called the Night Ministry. This project the volunteer work we did was that we met up with an RV that rendezvoused at certain points in the city and passed out services to homeless people or to anyone in need in general. They didn't ask any questions. They didn't ask who you are. They didn't ask where you're coming from. If you just needed the help, if you needed the love, they provided it to you. So we thought that was pretty cool. So we had some snacks out on the table, and we passed it out to some of the homeless people or some of the people there. Everyone that passed by was they said thank you. They were very grateful. I remember this one time, this lady asked if she can bring a bag for her friend who she wasn't on good terms with, so that way she can try to get into a better relationship with her. So she took the bag and gave it to her friend. That just showed that these people are out there for each other, and that they have these nice big hearts, that they're so thankful, and that they're giving food to people or that they're helping people that don't really like them to fix relationships. And we have some people out there that are treating these homeless people like they're smacking their hats off, or they're kind of treating them wrong and talking down on them. We can't be those people that are talking down on them. We're supposed to be those people who are supposed to help them, try to get them to the point in their lives that they should be at, trying to get a house over their head or a roof over their head, somewhere where they can survive without trying to struggle for their life against harsh weather or dangers of being out in the streets and people beating them up for no reason. So what I want you guys to do is, before you try to put a picture on any homeless person you see, before you think, oh, he's probably on the streets because he's a drug addict or he just is lazy, I want you to think before you act on anything. Because these people may not be their fault why they are there. Maybe just a little couple spare change from your pocket even helps. Go do a night ministry, or go help the homeless in one of the organizations. because any little effort you give to help these people makes a difference in their lives and in the world's life. Thank you.
All right, I think we made it through our roster. Who would have thunk it? So I just wanted to say you guys did a fantastic job. I know it certainly is not easy to stand up and talk about these things that you've been researching and to reveal things about yourself along the way oftentimes and to ask people to do things. But one of the things we've been working on all semester long is trying to understand how to affect change, how to engage civically. And I believe a large part of that is to improve our communication skills, and a big part of that is being able to speak to people one-on-one and in front of groups. So you did a fantastic job. I know it's not easy. Many of you were very scared. I'm nervous all the time to do it, and yet I have to do it every day. I'm nervous to talk in front of you guys. Did you know that? I get nervous to talk in front of you guys sometimes, but I do it every day because I think it's important, and it gets easier some days more than others. And I encourage you to seek out every opportunity that you can moving forward to speak to people about the things you know, about the things you don't know, to get in front of groups and to work on your communication skills so that you can be stronger, more powerful citizens to be able to affect change where you see it needs to be affected. Okay, so thank you very much for your time today, and we'll see you in a regular classroom next class.